Well, we're on our way to Hurricane Hobby. Somebody asked me if I'd planned to videotape the trip. I'm just picking up a few odds and ends, but I'm like, yeah, okay, why not? And we're going to avoid this big traffic intersection up here by going in the back way. And oh man, believe me, I'm aware of how blessed I am to have a hobby shop so close to my house. And must be living right. Well, no. Okay, here we are coming up behind the shop, and let's see what we got inside. Okay, paints. Well, this is like it was made to happen. I got the exact 4 colors I need. The light blue Luftwaffe, the light green and the dark green Luftwaffe, and the insignia white. So technically that's US Navy color, but we all know that Cowling and Rudder are going to use that. And wow, found them right away. Again, so thrilled to have a well-equipped store nearby. Well, good evening, guys, and welcome back to the TARDIS. So we had a pretty busy day, a lot to talk about, as you probably saw from my little intro scene. I was out in the Mustang today going off to Hurricane Hobbies. They did have all of the paints that I needed for the Messerschmitt, so that was great. While I was there, I was looking at some other things for the Canada build, and without divulging any secret information, they didn't have exactly what I was looking for, but I was a little surprised when I started checking the prices on things. When I was at the JaxCon, there was one fella had about a dozen different kinds of vans. He was like 70s, 80s vintage vans. And I was a little surprised that, he goes, oh, this one, these are old, I mean, they were vintage kits, but the boxes were a little rough. He said, well, this is 45, this is 65. And I thought, I really don't want to spend that much to cut it up and do what I'm going to do to it. Maybe I can find something cheap on eBay. But then I go to Hurricane Hobbies and find out that, because they pretty much charge, they're very well stocked, but they charge standard retail prices. And I find out that the new ones are $35. I mean, it's a brand new repop versus the original, $10, $15, $20 difference. It wasn't day and night unless it's some kind of really rare van. And then you go out on eBay or Amazon, and sometimes you find a thing. There's still deals to be had out there. But while I was pricing all these different vehicles and cars, I was looking at all the AMTs and everything, and I was chatting on the phone with, and I was a little shocked to realize he'd made an observation, and while he was standing there, he goes, well, modern AMT kit runs $35, $40, and sure enough, I'm just standing in front of the car, so I just pull off $34.99, I mean, bullseye. And we were talking about other things like trucks and, like the big rigs and the semis, and to their credit, Hurricane did have some of that stuff in stock, but you realize for a tractor trailer rig, you're going to be out about $100. I mean, they had some kits up there, the big 1/32 scale Mosquito, $224 or something like that, but those are really big, massive kits on par with Wingnut wings. So that didn't really shock me, but I'm looking at these cars, I'm thinking, man, these kits are not new molds, I mean, they're well made, but it's just, and then you realize, economy of scale and that stuff. And then he tells me that there's this place, some of you guys are familiar with, I think it's called Ollie's or something. And apparently they buy in bulk of like factory, not seconds, but like overstock. And they're talking about these kits are there for $18, $20, but when you can find them, because they just get whatever's excess. And you realize that shopping, and here we have a grocery store chain called Publix. Their motto forever is in Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And I'm thinking, models where shopping is a crapshoot. But anyway, it was just a little bit of an eye-opener. But here was the part that kind of surprised me. And again, I don't know why I didn't think to take any pictures, but just envision this. I'm looking at 1/24, 1/25 scale American muscle cars, trucks, vans, and they're running $35 to $50. Standard retail MSRP. manufacturer suggested retail price. Then I pull out a Tamiya Lotus 7, not the Caterham with the big wheels, but with the skinny tires, the Lotus Super 7 from Tamiya, 124 scale, and it's only $32.99. And of course, Tamiya kits pretty much build themselves. And I'm thinking, what kind of upside down world do I live in where AMT kits are more expensive than a comparable Tamiya kit? And, the insanity of kit model pricing. So I just had that little adventure at the hobby shop, and all you guys keep telling me about this. Several of you guys have, I think Chris and Steve and a few others have told me about this place. Is it Ollie's? I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Leave a comment and straighten me out. Anyway, so I did get a lot of model building done today. Fortunately, today was my last day of reserve. I got 2 days off. The weekend I'm back on reserve. So I am planning for a live stream Saturday night, but if the balloon goes up and I get the squadron scrambled, and off to work. So here's where we are now. I managed to finish the 1931 Johan Cadillac. I have it right over here right now, and here's some pictures and footage I shot of it earlier today. Now there are I did have some breakage, and there were some problems. The kit started fighting me in the final stages, but let me explain. This is not really a knock on Johan. The kit's a good kit. It's a solid kit. And by the way, there's no paint on this. This is out of the box in the colors that they sent me, and I'm not going to paint it. I like displaying it just like this. This is sort of a nude build, but since they molded most of the stuff in color, then you're not really needing to paint it unless you want to detail it out. Now, I want to talk about the good and the bad of this kit. First off, cool subject matter, interesting car, solid design, solid plastic. Most parts fit pretty well. There are one or two little things, a fair amount of flash, but a little bit of flash. They had to clean some stuff up. The problems with this kit are, first off, some of the wheels with the wire rims and everything had a lot of flash in them, took a while to clean out, and they're really easy to break. Now, I'm going to talk about a few little glitches with the kit, but then I'm going to talk about some things that are not Johan's fault. One of the problems is you got to scrape a lot of chrome off to get things to mate. Some things don't have a lot of area for purchase, so you have to be real careful. You obviously have a lot of small, skinny, brittle parts given the nature of the car, but it's well thought out, goes together pretty well. Instructions could be better. That's probably the single weakest thing. Now, the things about this kit that are kind of tough, that are not really Johan's fault, is that cars of this nature have a lot of parts that sit out on like little metal bars, like the headlights and everything, that are, there's just not much there holding. Like when you're on the real car and you got a steel bar to screw the headlights onto, it's fine. But when you're dealing with 1/25th scale plastic, you just have a little piece of plastic, there's going to be some breakage. The headlights are probably the worst part, both fit wise and getting them. And there was some breakage there. I had to glue it back together, let it rehard, and be very delicate with it. Extremely delicate once you're done. It's got all tiny little door handles. Somehow I managed to lose two of the door handles. I had to fabricate them. I'll let you guess which side. Pretty obvious, but it looks fine, and especially up on the shelf. And the plastic was kind of brittle, and especially the black plastic was kind of brittle. The rest of it was okay. So I may go in and touch it up at some point. Be honest, the chrome, because the color underneath the chrome is light blue, it doesn't really stand out. It looks like reflections off the car. So, sometimes best just to leave it alone. But the complex nature of the vehicle is really what made it tricky towards the end. The base car went together without any trouble when you start putting the finery on it, and it's got a lot of it. But that being said, once I'd ground the chrome off the areas where they had the butt joint, and there were a lot of butt joints, but all of the lights on the fenders and stuff had little guide pins, so they went out without any trouble. Same for the door handles and the retraction mechanism for the top. What was actually a little tricky was cleaning out the inside of the chrome to get the windshield to mate, and both windshields. The forward one was a little more trouble, but also there was like the exhaust pipe tips, those flared exhaust pipe tips are just butt joints, so you have to wait for all that to harden. Be very careful with this extremely delicate kit. by the nature of these cars having so many little pieces sticking out. Just like building a model airplane, always like the German Nachtjägers, the night fighters that have all those antennas on them. They're like, yeah, my gosh, you can hardly move around the thing without breaking something, even when they're photo etch. This would be a great kit to make some of those parts out of metal and photo etch, and that would probably facilitate some parts. Actually, I wouldn't say photo, I would say metal. But just because of how thin some of the parts are. But good kit. I understand why people love Johan. Very happy with it. I have it on display here in the TARDIS. My wife loved it, and it actually has the authority to be displayed in the house, but I don't have a place to put it right now. So, on the Messerschmitt, made a little headway on that. Like I said, Hurricane Hobbies did have all of the paints I needed. So, the 4 colors, the white, the light, and these are Luftwaffe light blue, Luftwaffe dark green, Luftwaffe light green, and I'm using Insignia white. But anyway, that's I've got started detailing it out, got the canopy taped off as best. I didn't have a mask set, so I just used Tamiya tape and trimmed it out, and old eyes, big hands, but it's going to look fine when I'm done. I've got a lot of the stuff primed and painted, letting it harden. One of the things I plan to do is mount the lower part of the wing to the fuselage. The tail will be pre-painted. The rudder, the horizontal stabilizer, and the strut braces will all be pre-painted. But what I'm going to do is put the lower wing on the fuselage, then putty it, sand it, then hit it again with the light blue. I'll tape that off, put the black glare shield, the white cowling, the camouflaged top strip, get that taped off and painted. Paint the spinner completely separate. One thing I realized about this Messerschmitt is you can make the entire propeller assembly that rotates separately from the airplane, and then you just glue the mount in. So that was a good idea, even though that conical nose has that step that's virtually impossible to grind down all the way without breaking the blades off, which is a lot of guys just remove the blades and sand it down. I'm not going to get that into it. I'd like to keep the blades on there, and the way I'm going to paint it, it should camouflage if there's any of that step still visible. And we'll just write it off to a worn fighter plane. But that way I can get all the blue on it, cover those seams up on the underside, but I won't have to put the landing gear in yet or the tail. So once that's there and I've got the blue on, then like I say, get the white nose, the black glare shield, the camouflage strip on top of the fuselage. Once that's all done, then I can go ahead. I'm going to paint the top section of the wings and the tail separately. Then I'll just put the wheels in, drop all that in. I already test fitted it. It works fine. Glue all that in real tight. Hopefully will fit tight enough. I won't need to sand anything. It's a 1/48 scale monogram kit. I'm not going to get too far in the weeds with it. I just want it to look good. Doesn't have to be flawless perfection. And once that's all done, then it'll be hit it with the gloss coat, decal it. Once that's done, hit it with one more shot of gloss coat. Once that's done, hit it with some dull coat to make it a little more like a military airplane. Peel the canopy tape off, and we should be done. So a couple of days worth of work, depending on how I'm trying not to go too fast with it. I started getting a little ahead of myself tonight. And I'm like, nope, gotta stop. Time to make the videos. So that's how that's going. And I'm really enjoying it. I have a good feeling that it's going to turn out okay. And having gone and got, and it's all rattle can. It's the Tamiya colors, but it's all rattle can. I'm not going to drag out the airbrush and everything for it. Because it's a kit I built as a kid, I kind of want to stay with the tools I had as a kid, which is basically rattle cans, a little putty, glue, X-Acto knife, sandpaper. That's about all I ever built with. And you know what? When you do it that way and kind of restrict yourself because you're just building for yourself, it's very pleasant. It's a much more pleasurable experience. Now, when I'm done with that, of course, I'll be getting back on this perfect grade Gundam, and that's going to be just a little bit at a time. This is going to be a long-term build. I'm not pushing that. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do next after I get the Messerschmitt finished, but I have several kits already lined up on. I got another short stack over here, but might not be a bad time to jump into that P-51 comparison build I was talking about. And then I have a Tamiya P51, which I already actually have one sitting right here. That I use that for the comparison build with the Monogram kit. And the Monogram one, the late model production Monogram 1997 molds. Well, technically Revell, but it's the Monogram molds. That's on display in the house. But I also have one from AMT Earl, and I don't think that was an original mold with them, but I also have the Profi pack. So I have 3 1/48 scale Mustangs and a 1/72 scale. And I just want to, do a comparison of the kits and just, and that'll be kind of a long-term thing. I can't build 3 kits that fast. And I'll take my time on those and try to do nice work and see how presentable I can make them, just like I did with the Monogram with the Tamiya kit. And that's out there if you want to go watch that old video. If I can find it, I'll put a link down here. But I also, although I've built the submarine up here, and the flying sub, which covered me for the watercraft build, I would like to do another watercraft. And of course, I want to get working on the Canadian build, but I don't have any of the resources for it yet. All the stuff I've been looking at, I think what I do is a really funny idea. I put that little joke up yesterday about Super. That was just a block. So when I am working on the project, I can block out because it's a secret. And also because I don't want to get committed to anything because I'm having so much trouble finding the stuff I'm looking for that the thing is I can't ask you guys about giving it away, but that's okay. I'm not looking for you to provide. I'm going to get my own stuff, not to worry. So I think that covers everything for the night. Well, guys, I hope you're having a wonderful evening. I want to thank you for coming in and spending a little time with me here in the Tarbis. And I said at the car today, and I'm completely aware of how lucky I am to have a hobby shop so well equipped this close, to have the time to do this hobby, and to have time to be around a bunch of guys like you and guys and gals and when I say be around, be involved with this community. And that's what I consider this. This has turned, in my opinion, this has turned into a community. We talk about way more than models here and stuff, and we've gotten to meet some people, and just we all share a common interest. It's just a lot of fun. I enjoy doing these videos. I'm not sure how many I'll be cranking out because if they call me to work, you all know how that goes. But I just wanted to say thanks for tuning in and sharing some of your day with me, and I appreciate it. Guys, take care of yourselves. I got to go tonight, start arranging some of the photos that have been sent to me. You guys putting out some beautiful work. A couple of guys have already got some ship builds in, or watercraft, I should say. By the way, a quick note, because I'm kind of, again, sticking too many irons in the fire, I may start doing viewers builds a little more frequently on a smaller scale. Instead of making the big 25, 30-minute things and wait until I have 250 photos. When I get 30 or 40, I might put out a 6 or 7 minute viewers build, something, a little more often. And that might help me with my workflow a little bit. That way I don't have, one of the reasons I lose image you guys send me is I forget where I put them. So I've created files for that, but when you are on the road, you know what, I'm going to quit making excuses. You guys know the drill. So again, I apologize for folks whose pictures I missed and having to put out 2-3 addendums because somebody can't keep track of his own life. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Take care and model on.